I was in the middle of a video call with several shareholders when my high school class group, which had been silent for a decade, suddenly exploded with notifications. "Megan, did you see Felicity's post? She's getting married today. Are you really not coming?" As the messages flooded in, I realized that Felicity Simons, the prom queen of our high school, was tying the knot. All our old classmates were attending. I replied, trying to keep it professional, "Sorry, I'm swamped with work at the moment." But the responses were swift and brutal. "What could you possibly be busy with? Someone who hasn't posted in 100 years must be doing pretty poorly. Seriously, just admit you're embarrassed and stop pretending to be so busy." Felicity chimed in herself, "Remember our bet? I always said I'd marry someone better than you." I shot back, "Can't say I recall that." Immediately, others jumped in. Felicity's husband is the CEO of a publicly traded company. They even sent over 100 luxury cars to pick her up today. Sounds like you're worried about how your life compares, so you're pretending to forget. Maybe you're so broke you can't even afford a wedding gift. Why not start a crowdfunding campaign to help you chip in? Under the barrage of comments, Felicity tagged me again, putting on a show of graciousness. "I really hope you can make it to my wedding to witness my happy moment. Since we're classmates, I'll have my husband arrange a cleaning job for you." With that, she posted a stunning photo of herself and her husband in wedding attire. My jaw dropped when I saw her husband's face. That was Logan Ridley, my husband, who married into my family. "Sure, I'll definitely come to witness your happiness." I typed back, my fingers shaking slightly. Just as I hit send, my phone buzzed with a message from Logan. "Hey babe, I'm heading back to my hometown to see my parents today. I've already prepped dinner and left it in the fridge for you. Just heat it up when you're ready. Love you always." Logan had moved in with me 3 years. 3 ago, always looking out for me and taking care of everything. Even when he stepped out, he never forgot to prepare for my daily needs. I used to be touched by his thoughtful gestures, but now, all I felt was a sense of absurdity. I abruptly ended the video call and drove to the address Felicity had shared in the group. As I approached her home, I spotted a massive red banner hanging over the entrance, warmly welcoming Mr. Ridley, president of All Grand Group, to the wedding. Beneath the banner stood Felicity, resplendent in a snow-white couture wedding gown, eagerly awaiting her groom. A crowd of our high school classmates surrounded her, buzzing with excitement. "Felicity, you really kept this under wraps. We had no idea you were marrying the CEO of All Grand Group. Seriously, Mr. Ridley is a well-known entrepreneur. You've hit the jackpot. Felicity, you're about to be a high society lady. Don't forget about us little people." Even our high school teacher, Amanda Lane, was there, fawning over Felicity. "Felicity, the first time I laid eyes on you, I knew you were destined for greatness. That's why I never scolded you for your grades. I knew you were born to be wealthy and didn't need to rely on academic achievements." As the crowd showered her with compliments, Felicity wore a triumphant smile, her eyes sparkling with self-satisfaction. Logan had been living with me for years, seemingly doing nothing productive. To help him gain experience, I had entrusted him with managing the smallest company under my name, All Grand Group. Little did I know that would become the very capital Felicity was now flaunting to bask in the spotlight. When I walked in, the classmates who had been so eager to flatter her just moments ago suddenly furrowed their brows, looking at me with evident disdain. One of Felicity's lackeys spotted the car behind me and rushed over with a sneer. "Megan, you're really something else. Did you actually rent a Bentley just to come to Felicity's wedding and save face?" At that, the others chimed in with scornful remarks. "No wonder you had the nerve to show up. You just wanted to play pretend, right? Renting a car like that must cost you at least 3 months' salary. Some people just love to put on a show." As if pretending to be rich could ever stack up against Felicity's husband. Seriously, is it that hard to admit others are doing better than you? Why go through all that trouble to rent a fancy car just to keep up with the Joneses? Despite their derogatory comments, I remained calm. "Actually, it's my car," I replied evenly. Before I could gather my thoughts, Felicity suddenly stepped in front of me, her expression furious. She raised her hand and slapped me hard across the face. "Your car? This is clearly my husband's car. I've suspected my husband was seeing someone else on the side, and now I find out it's you, you little tramp. You shameless gold digger. How dare you show up at my wedding, driving my husband's car to taunt me, the legitimate?" Felicity's words left everyone around us wide-eyed and in disbelief. "Felicity, is that car really your husband's?" "No way," one classmate exclaimed, incredulous. Felicity puffed up with pride, her chin held high. "Of course, it's real. Why would I lie?" With that, she pulled out her phone and started scrolling through photos of her and Logan. There were shots of them snuggled up in the car and others of them lounging on the hood, looking cozy and intimate. The details inside the car and the license plate were unmistakably clear. The crowd gasped collectively. Holy crap, it really is Felicity's husband's car. That means Megan must be the other woman. Felicity's expression twisted into a scowl, her eyebrows knitting together in anger. No wonder you've been so quiet all these years. Turns out you've just been playing the side chick. The crowd turned their eyes to me, their expressions a mix of shock and disdain. I can't believe it. Megan looks so put together, yet she's been sneaking around as someone's mistress. Right? I used to think she was this cool, aloof straight-A student. I even wrote her a love letter back in high school. Now it feels gross just thinking about it. Some people act all innocent on the outside, but behind closed doors, they're a whole different story. The moment they see a wealthy guy, they're practically begging for attention. Look at her flaunting the sugar daddy's car right in front of the real wife. She must be jealous of Felicity getting married and is trying to ruin the wedding. Even Amanda looked at me with contempt, her voice dripping with disdain. Megan, when you're out in public, please don't mention that you were my student. I never taught anyone with such a lack of morals. The crowd's chatter turned into a frenzy, drawing in onlookers who pointed fingers and whispered. Some even took out their phones to record, while others spat in my direction. In a fit of anger, I ripped off my designer coat, which was worth tens of thousands of dollars, and tossed it into a nearby trash can. I turned to face Felicity, my voice steady and fierce. You should really ask Logan who the real mistress is before you start throwing accusations around. Once I finished, Felicity slapped me hard across the face. Do you really need to ask? Today is my wedding day with Logan. Can't you see that? She pointed angrily at my car, her voice rising. I absolutely despise mistresses. All of them deserve to be punished. With that, she pulled out a key and scratched the words mistress, die, across my car's paint. I glanced at the glaring letters, a chill running down my spine. You'll soon realize just how ironic those words are. Felicity's anger boiled over. You shameless hussy, you're stealing my husband and then mocking me. Just thinking about my husband's car being driven by a skank like you makes me sick. With that, she picked up a brick from the ground and began smashing it against my car. She hit the windows, the headlights, the hood, nothing was spared. Felicity is going to be the future first lady of all Grand Group. We can't let her be bullied by a lowlife like Megan. Someone in the crowd shouted. Suddenly, everyone started grabbing anything they could find to join in the destruction. After smashing the windows, they even climbed inside, vandalizing the seats and interior. My once pristine luxury car was quickly reduced to a heap of wreckage. I watched these lunatics with a cold glare. I hope when it comes time for you to pay for this mess, you'll be just as eager to take responsibility. But my words fell on deaf ears. They acted like I was invisible. Just then, one of Felicity's lackeys pried open the trunk and shouted, "Hey, look. She's got a bunch of cool stuff hidden back here." Felicity stepped closer, pulling out a painting with a scornful smirk. A sleazy woman who makes a living off her body trying to play connoisseur with a collection. Give me a break. I couldn't help but issue a warning in return. These items are worth far more than my car, especially that painting. I'd advise you to be careful. The contents of my trunk were prized acquisitions from auctions that I hadn't yet found a place for. Felicity's anger flared further at my words. It's a desecration for a creature like you to own such a masterpiece. You're trash and you deserve to own nothing but trash. She tore the painting to shreds in front of me, then stomped on the remnants with vicious glee. Amanda, scrutinizing the ruined artwork, gasped. That painting is a master's original. I heard it started at a $300 million auction. Felicity shrugged it off brazenly. So what if it's $300 million? That's still my husband's money. And what's his is mine, so I can do whatever I want with my own stuff. Her ludicrous claim left me speechless. Logan, far from being the wealthy tycoon they perceived, was a penniless Aravista. Even with the reins of all Grand Group in his hands, his ineptitude had slashed the company's market value by nearly half. Were it not for his marital status, I would have long since fired him. Yet, Felicity and these old classmates idolized him as a commanding CEO, hanging on his every word. With Felicity leading the charge, the others followed suit, wrecking and shredding the contents of my trunk with abandon. Seeing them in a frenzy, I reckoned it was futile to intervene. I quietly pulled out my phone to call the police. Before I could dial, Felicity lunged at me, snatching my phone and smashing it to the ground with force. Calling the cops now, are you? You brazen mistress, what gives you the right? She then noticed the pendant around my neck, her eyes lighting up. That necklace looks pricey. Did you use my husband's money for that too? Before I could react, she yanked the necklace from my neck with brutal force. Startled by her abrupt and violent action, I paled as I shouted, "Give it back. You might also like marrying his rival Bethany. From now on I only love you from now on. I only love you Beth, marry you again, never get away, marry you again. Never get away." Seeing the sudden panic wash over me, Felicity smirked, her eyes glinting with malice. "Getting nervous, are we? That necklace must be worth a pretty penny." I felt a surge of desperation. "It's not about the money. It's important to me, just give it back." I lunged forward, reaching for the necklace. This necklace wasn't just any piece of jewelry, it was a talisman my mother had fought tooth and nail to get for me. I had been often sick when I was a child, bedridden and unconscious at 4 years old. Doctors had told my parents to prepare for the worst, but my mother refused to give up hope. She went to a church praying fervently for my recovery. My mother, in the sweltering heat of summer, climbed the arduous path to a mountaintop church. She was nearly unconscious by the time she obtained this necklace, driven solely by her desire to save me. It was as if the heavens themselves were moved by her devotion. Miraculously, I woke up from my coma, but my mother paid the price with her health. On her deathbed, she entrusted me with that necklace, insisting I safeguard it. I had cherished that necklace dearly ever since I was a child. It had been my constant companion, always close to my heart. It was more than just a piece of jewelry. It was a lifeline, a connection to my mother, and I would never let anyone harm it. "Just try to take it from me, and I'll make sure it's destroyed," Felicity taunted. Before I could react, she hurled the necklace to the ground. The sound of shattering pieces echoed in my ears as the pendant splintered into countless pieces, scattering across the pavement. "No." My heart dropped, a knife twisting in my chest as I watched the only thing my mother had left me disintegrate before my eyes. I gasped for breath, feeling the world close in around me. "You're a monster." I couldn't hold back any longer. I slapped Felicity hard across the face, my anger boiling over. "Bitch, you dare hit me!" Felicity shrieked, clutching her cheek, her voice piercing the air. "Someone teaches this little tramp a lesson. Whoever gives me the best show, I'll hand over $1 million. Just like that, the crowd turned against me. "Still think you can mess with Felicity? She's the future First Lady of all Grand Group. What do you think you are? Seriously, it's just a broken necklace. You should be used to losing things since you've been selling yourself for scraps. Why are you so worked up? Shameless mistress. You think you can just waltz in and act tough? You really think we're afraid of you?" Even Amanda couldn't resist kicking me while I was down. I hit the ground, trembling with rage and humiliation, gritting my teeth. "You'll all regret this." The laughter that erupted from my old classmates was cruel and mocking. "Regret? You think this is high school? Just because you were the smart kid doesn't mean you're above us now, right? You're just a washed-up nobody. You're out here selling your body and still think you can intimidate us. Know your place, mistress. You should be grateful for the attention you're getting. Seriously, how low can you go? Seducing your old classmates, man. You're digging your own grave." They pinned me to the ground, their taunts and jeers echoing in my ears as the crowd joined in, spitting and hurling insults. Felicity stepped forward, a triumphant grin plastered on her face as she stomped her foot on my cheek. "Regret? I've never regretted anything in my life. I'm just waiting to see how you'll make me regret this." Just then, a fleet of luxury cars roared into view, halting in front of the crowd. Logan emerged from one of the cars, flanked by a group of sharply dressed men. "You might also like marrying his rival Bethany. From now on I only love you from now on. I only love you Beth, marry you again, never get away, marry you again. Never get away." The moment Logan stepped out of the car, the raucous crowd fell silent, as if someone had hit the mute button. All eyes were glued to him, drawn in by the commanding presence he exuded. The classmates who had been pinning me down instantly released me, standing up straight, their gazes fixated on the newcomer. Felicity quickly withdrew her foot from my face, adopting an air of demure sophistication. Logan was striking, dressed in a tailored suit that accentuated his tall, athletic frame. He radiated confidence, and the moment he appeared, he became the center of attention. "Is that really Mr. Ridley from All Grand Group?" "Yeah, that's him. Talk about a grand entrance. Look at all those luxury cars. Honestly, I wouldn't dare to dream of rolling in such style. And he's not just a big shot, he's good looking too. No wonder that gold digger Megan is all over him. Felicity is so lucky, marrying a guy like him. I'm beyond jealous." Amid the chorus of awe and envy, Felicity strutted over to Logan, linking her arm with his. "Honey, you finally made it. I've been dying to marry you." Logan smiled down at her, his expression warm and affectionate. "You're such a clingy little thing. I love that about you," Logan said, pulling her closer. Seeing this, my former classmates rushed forward, eager to curry favor with Logan. Mr. Ridley, it's a pleasure. I run a small advertising firm. If All Grand Group ever needs ads, I'd love a shot at it. Here's my card, one of them said, practically shoving a business card into Logan's hand. Mr. Ridley, we've just launched a new product. We'd love for you to try it out. Here's a sample, completely free. Another chimed in, grinning from ear to ear. Mr. Ridley, Felicity and I were deskmate for 3 years. I've admired you for years. Do you think All Grand Group has any job openings? I'm willing to learn anything. Mr. Ridley. The chorus of pleas and flattery grew louder, each classmate trying to outdo the other in their attempts to impress him. Watching my old classmates grovel before Logan made Felicity's smile grow even wider. She reveled in the superiority of the moment, basking in the attention. Logan, however, seemed unfazed, casually instructing his assistant to collect all the cards, as if this was just another day at the office. Then, Felicity's mother stepped forward, her face glowing with pride. We've prepared some fine coffee for you. Please, come inside and enjoy it with us. Logan glanced at his watch. Thanks, but we're running out of time. I've already booked a hotel and arranged the banquet. With this many cars, it should be enough for everyone to join us. Sounds good. Let's head out. The group nodded in agreement as they made their way towards the sleek, luxurious cars parked in a row. As they imagined themselves stepping into these prestigious cars and heading towards the grand wedding of the All Grand Group's president, a wave of exhilaration swept through them. The mere thought of being part of such a high-profile event made them feel as though they were standing on the pinnacle of success. Just as they were about to board the vehicles, the blaring sound of police sirens pierced through the air, rapidly growing louder. Suddenly, a squad of officers jumped out of their cars, their voices booming. Freeze! Nobody moves. We received reports of a public disturbance and intentional harm. The festive atmosphere shattered like glass. The classmates who had just been buzzing with excitement now looked panicked. Some couldn't even lift their heads, terrified of drawing attention from the police. Logan raised an eyebrow, bewildered, as he turned to Felicity. What's going on? Why are the cops here? A flicker of guilt crossed Felicity's eyes as she stammered. Well, my classmates said. They wanted to help me teach the homewrecker a lesson, so they went after her. Logan's expression shifted to one of discomfort. Homewrecker? What are you talking about? You know I only have eyes for you. Why on earth would I be looking for someone else? Felicity pouted, feigning innocence. All right, maybe I misunderstood. But even if she's not a homewrecker, she's still someone who tried to ruin my wedding, so it's only fair that we teach her a lesson. Her old classmates immediately chimed in. Exactly. That woman has always tried to one-up Felicity since high school. She couldn't stand seeing Felicity do better. Felicity was kind enough to invite her to the wedding, and she shows up just to cause trouble. Right? She's been a thorn in Felicity's side for years. We couldn't just let her get away with it. The classmates were clearly eager to score points with Felicity, seizing the opportunity to disparage me in front of Logan. Felicity's mother seized the moment too, adding, Logan, Felicity cares deeply about this wedding. That bitch just showed up and started causing trouble. If we don't teach her a lesson, people are going to think you're pushovers. Logan nodded slightly, his expression turning serious. If she's been bullying Felicity, then I suppose a little lesson wouldn't hurt. With Logan's approval, Felicity straightened up, newfound confidence radiating from her. She faced the police, her voice steady. Officer, someone came to my wedding to cause trouble. We had no choice but to defend ourselves. The officer frowned, clearly skeptical. I need you all to come down to the station and give me the full story. At this, the classmates who had joined in the attack suddenly looked uneasy. But Felicity stood her ground, her tone defiant. I'm not going anywhere. Today is my wedding day, and I refuse to go to the police station. She turned to Logan, her eyes pleading. Honey, you're the president of All Grand Group. You have connections, can't you talk to the police for me? The other classmates quickly jumped on the bandwagon, their expressions desperate. Yeah, Mr. Ridley, you're a big deal. Surely, the police will listen to you. Today is supposed to be a celebration for you and Felicity. It would be a shame for everyone to end up at the station. Exactly. All Grand Group is one of the top firms in the province. Just a word from you, and this whole mess could be cleared up. Felicity's mother added her 2 cents. Logan, it's your special day with Felicity. We can't let this ruin your reputation. Faced with the mounting pressure, Logan straightened up, his demeanor shifting to one of authority as he addressed the police. Officer, I'm Logan, the president of All Grand Group. I know the leadership at the city police department. Can't we just let this slide? The officer hesitated for a moment, then replied seriously, "You can't just go around hitting people in public, no matter who you know. And whether or not to drop this isn't up to me. You'll need to get the victim's forgiveness if you want this to go away." Logan wore a confident smile. "That's easy enough. I don't believe anyone would dare stand against me." He turned to Felicity, his voice commanding, "Where's the person you all attacked?" Without missing a beat, Felicity led Logan through the crowd, pointing dramatically at me, who was now a mess on the ground. "Honey, it's this bitch right here." At that moment, I lay on the ground, hair disheveled and bruised, looking utterly pathetic. Logan didn't even recognize me. He approached, casting a cursory glance at my injuries before sneering. "So, you're the one who's always bullied." "Felicity, huh? I'm Felicity's husband, and you should know that bullying her is absolutely unforgivable. But since you've already been taught a lesson, I won't hold it against you this time. Today is my wedding day, and I won't allow any disruptions. You've only got a few scrapes. I'll throw in some compensation for your troubles. Let's just settle this privately, shall we? You don't mind, do you?" His words floated in the air, casual and condescending, as if my very presence was a privilege he was granting me. I didn't respond, merely letting out a cold huff. Logan's brow furrowed slightly. "What's the matter? You look dissatisfied." He paused for a moment, then added, "Fine, since it's my big day, I won't bother you too much. Here's the deal. If you ever need anything, just come to All Grand Group. I'll make sure to take care of it. Does that work for you?" He looked down at me with clear disdain, as if I were some insignificant bugs beneath his shoe. Felicity, clearly not pleased, shot me a glare. "You should be grateful. I advise you not to bite the hand that feeds you. Seriously, if it weren't for our history, you wouldn't even be getting this kind of treatment." The other classmates chimed in, their jealousy palpable. "Right? You think you're still the star student from high school. Mr. Ridley's willing to compensate, you talk about luck. Mr. Ridley is being generous. If it were anyone else, you'd be in a world of hurt. Why are you still lying there? Get up and thank Mr. Ridley properly. Maybe she's just lying there, secretly reveling in Mr. Ridley's grace. This might be the biggest honor of her life." The mere mention of Logan's so-called compensation only served to further fuel the already burning resentment of my old classmates, who had always looked down on me. Their simmering anger now bubbled over into palpable fury, as if I had somehow snatched something precious from them. As these people continued their incessant agitating, Logan's patience began to wear thin. He glared at me, his tone sharp. "Look, I've been more than generous today, all for Felicity's sake. Don't push your luck. If you disrupt my wedding, I won't hold back." Under the weight of his threat, I gritted my teeth against the pain and slowly pushed myself up. I brushed my hair aside and faced Logan directly. "Logan, you really think you're something special, don't you?" My mind drifted back to the first time I met him, on a stormy night. I had been driving home in a downpour, visibility nearly zero. Suddenly, Logan appeared in front of my car, catching me completely off guard. I slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. I hit him. Watching him fly several feet through the air left me in shock. I jumped out of the car, ready to take him to the hospital, but he brushed it off, slowly rising to his feet, and simply said, "I'm fine," before walking away without a backward glance. As I watched him limp away into the rain-soaked night, something stirred in my heart. He was unlike anyone I had ever met. Intrigued, I dug into his background and discovered he worked at my father's company. My heart soared with excitement. I truly believed it was fate. That very day, I managed to slip into my father's company as an intern. The moment Logan saw me there, his expression shifted to one of surprise. It turned out he was also a new intern, having just started himself. Logan wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. In fact, he seemed a bit awkward at times. But growing up in the countryside had toughened him up. He was hardworking, pouring his heart and soul into every task, never slacking off. No matter when I walked by, I'd find him hunched over his computer, completely absorbed in his work. That kind of determination made me view Logan in a new light. Initially, he was facing dismissal due to a lack of performance, but with a little behind-the-scenes maneuvering on my part, he got promoted ahead of schedule. The joy on his face that day was infectious. He lit up like a Christmas tree. After his promotion, Logan threw himself into his work even more passionately. I admired that unwavering spirit of his. As we spent more time together, I began to see a different side of Logan. He wasn't just the quiet, serious guy I thought he was. He had a great sense of humor, and could always make me laugh. Being around Logan felt easy and comfortable. Even in moments of silence, his presence brought me a sense of peace. However, our relationship took a significant turn during an incident that could only be described as a hero saving the damsel moment. After a networking event one evening, I stepped outside only to be surrounded by a group of drunken men who started harassing me. Panic set in, and I felt utterly helpless. Just then, Logan appeared like a knight in shining armor. Though he ended up getting beaten up pretty badly by those drunken fools, I was safe. That was the first time I felt my heart race for this man who had risked himself for me. During the days I spent with him in the hospital, I couldn't hold back my feelings any longer and confessed my love. To my delight, Logan accepted my feelings wholeheartedly, and just like that, we began our romance. Throughout our relationship, I kept things casual, enjoying life as a regular person with him. We'd grab street food, stroll down the boulevard, visit parks, catch the occasional movie, and have fun at amusement parks. It was a simple yet joyful existence. Eventually, I took Logan home to meet my dad. The moment he realized I was the daughter of a wealthy tycoon, he became visibly nervous. My dad, aware of Logan's humble roots, didn't look down on him. He made it clear that class differences didn't matter to him. No amount of wealth could surpass what our family had. He only had one condition: Logan had to agree to become part of our family. As my father's only child, he didn't want me marrying into another family. I expected Logan to hesitate, to wrestle with the idea, or even refuse outright. After all, Logan was the only son in his family. Moreover, marrying into his wife's family was more or less disgraceful for a man. To my surprise, Logan nodded without a second thought. He even declared right there that he would love me wholeheartedly and be devoted to me alone. To show his commitment, Logan insisted we sign a prenuptial agreement that day, promising that if he ever strayed, he'd leave with nothing. I was deeply touched by his sincerity. Once we tied the knot, Logan continued to treat me with kindness and care, doing everything he could to support me. To help him build a better reputation, I handed over the management of All Grand Group to him, hoping he could shine in the spotlight. Though the company didn't thrive under his leadership, I never held it against Logan. My only wish was for us to live happily together, and as long as he loved me genuinely, nothing else mattered. For years, I basked in the love Logan portrayed, convinced I had found my true soulmate. Now, it all felt so ironic and laughable. The moment Logan's gaze locked onto mine, his face drained of color. He froze like a deer in headlights. His expression morphed into one of shock and fear. Before Logan could say a word, Felicity piped up first, her voice dripping with disdain. "Megan, who do you think you are? You think you can just call my husband by his full name?" The crowd of old classmates chimed in, their voices rising in indignation. "Exactly. Don't think Mr. Ridley will swoop in to save you. Without Felicity, you're nothing in his eyes. Right, you're just a nobody. You think you're worthy of even meeting Mr. Ridley? Seriously, you think being Felicity's old classmate gives you a free pass? Take a good look in the mirror and check your own status." As the insults rained down, I felt an eerie calm wash over me. But Logan's expression grew gloomier by the second. I couldn't help but smirk at him and asked casually, "Logan, did you hear that? They're saying I'm not worthy of calling you by your name. What do you think?" My offhand remark nearly knocked the wind out of Logan. He wobbled slightly, struggling to find his footing. Just as he opened his mouth to respond, Felicity jumped in. "You filthy little tramp. How dare you speak to my husband like that? Seems like you're not satisfied with the earlier lesson." With that, she stormed toward me, hand raised, ready to slap me. But Logan was quicker, intercepting her before she could make contact. Felicity gasped in disbelief, staring at him wide-eyed. "Honey, why are you stopping me? Are you feeling sorry for this loser? Or is she really your secret mistress?" The place erupted into gasps and murmurs. Whispers filled the air, and everyone turned to look at Logan and me, their eyes wide with shock. "No way. Is Megan really Mr. Ridley's mistress? It sure looks like it. Otherwise, why would Mr. Ridley be defending her? She's just a mistress after all. No way she can compare to Felicity. Right? Mr. Ridley must be holding Felicity back because he doesn't want the cops involved. He's just trying to protect her." Felicity clutched Logan's arm, shaking him gently. "Even if she is your mistress, you don't have to stop me from teaching her a lesson. I'm your soon-to-be wife." Her tone dripped with entitlement. Logan, however, suddenly jerked her hand away, his voice rising in anger. "Get away from me." Felicity stumbled back, her expression one of utter shock as she processed his reaction. The crowd was equally baffled. What just happened? In front of everyone, Logan groveled on the ground. "I'm so sorry, honey," he said, his voice trembling. Logan publicly submitted to me, calling me honey in front of everyone. It was a scene that left our classmates utterly speechless. Felicity stood there, mouth agape, clearly questioning everything she thought she knew. "What's going on here?" Why is Mr. Ridley calling Meghan honey? What's their relationship? The questions flew from the crowd like arrows. Felicity's face turned pale, as if she'd just received a devastating blow. After a long moment, she finally snapped back to reality and turned to Logan, and her voice shrilled with disbelief. Logan, what the hell is going on? Why are you calling this bitch honey? Today is supposed to be our wedding day. How can you call someone else that in front of me? Her emotions spiraled out of control, and it was clear she couldn't fathom the truth. You said you only had eyes for me. You said you were single. You said the wedding license didn't matter, as long as I had a grand ceremony. How could you lie to me like this? Speak up. Felicity became more and more agitated, stepping forward to grab Logan's hand and shaking it wildly. With a sudden, forceful motion, Logan jerked his hand away, fury igniting in his voice as he shouted, "Shut up, will you? Do you have any idea what you're doing? You're ruining my life." Felicity stumbled back from the abrupt rejection. She stared at him, her eyes wide with disbelief, unable to comprehend the man before her. This was not the Logan she had devoted herself to. How could the man she loved so deeply reveal such a monstrous side? Logan, at that moment, didn't care about Felicity's feelings. The only thing on his mind was the sweat trickling down his back in anxiety. Turning to me with an air of vulnerability, he pleaded, "Please, sweetheart, I know I messed up. Just this once, can you find it in your heart to forgive me?" It was remarkable how far he'd fallen from the self-assured man I once knew. The arrogance that usually defined him had vanished, replaced by humble desperation. I met his gaze with a stony expression, disappointment tightening my chest. "Logan, before we got married, you promised me that you'd love me, come hell or high water. What happened to that?" I pointed at Felicity, my voice steady but laced with anger. "You proclaim your love for me while being legally bound to someone else. How do you expect that to work? It all makes sense now. That time when I bumped into you on the street, you didn't bat an eye and just walked away. Those random coincidences when I was in trouble, you swooped in out of nowhere to save me, then told me to let it slide like it was no big deal. Why? I brought you home, and when I revealed my true identity, you weren't even surprised. You'd clearly been keeping tabs on me, hadn't you? You used that car accident as a ploy to get closer to me, didn't you? You knew exactly who I was and what I came from, and you played me like a fool, a stepping stone in your twisted game for success, all while leeching off my money to keep your other women. Logan, you really played this part well, didn't you? For so long, I had basked in the warmth of his affection, convinced of his unyielding devotion. I never suspected for a second that those moments that once moved me were nothing but pieces of his grand scheme. How laughable. I felt like a fool, believing I had found true love, trusting that Logan was the most important person in my life. Please, my love, I truly care about you. I'll get everything sorted out, I swear this won't happen again, Logan uttered desperately, tugging at me, a look of sheer panic plastered on his face, as if he were terrified of losing me. Felicity, still confused, blinked at Logan, disbelief written all over her face. Logan, why are you begging her? You're the president of All Grand Group. I get that she's your wife, but you don't need to grovel like this. Why the hell are you lowering yourself for her? Logan's eyes flared with anger as he shot a glare at Felicity, practically seething as he roared, "Because I've entered her family. Everything I have, it's all because of her." When Logan spoke, the shock on Felicity's face mirrored that of our old classmates. It was as if they had just realized they were up against something far more formidable than they had anticipated. I shot them a cold glance before turning to the police officer and said, "Officer, these people have publicly defamed me, assaulted me, and destroyed my antique painting worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I won't accept any mediation. I demand serious action." "Understood," the officer replied, nodding. He quickly rounded up everyone involved and escorted them to the station. Before they left, he reminded me to bring all documentation proving the value of the damaged property, like purchase receipts and my medical report for my injuries. He assured me everything would be accounted for. After tending to my wounds at the hospital and securing the necessary documents, I made my way to the police station. Inside, the once arrogant classmates now wore expressions of dread. Their earlier fawning over Felicity stemmed from their fear of Logan's status as the CEO of All Grand Group. They believed Felicity was the president's wife, which made them eager to curry favor with her. But now they realized that the woman they had looked down upon was actually the one they should have respected. The tables had turned, and their discomfort was palpable, like they had just swallowed a fly. Their glances toward Felicity were sharp enough to cut. She stood there, utterly lost, having just received the biggest blow of her life. Not only was she facing a staggering compensation bill, but the irony of her situation was devastating. Felicity had spent the day vehemently denouncing mistresses, only to find out she was the very thing she claimed to despise. Felicity's wedding had become a joke, and she was the punchline. This reality was too much for her to bear. As the officers meticulously reviewed the documents I provided, they calculated that the damage caused by Felicity and her crew amounted to a staggering $790 million. Gasps filled the room as the crowd's faces drained of color. No way. How is that even possible? She can't be that rich, even if she's not a mistress. Officer, don't let her fool you. We all went to high school together. She was so plain back then. There's no way she's some big shot. Yeah, you should definitely look into where that money came from. It could be dirty money. Yeah, it must be money stolen from others. The classmates were still in denial, grasping at straws. Their disbelief echoed through the room, but the police officer merely scoffed. We've already done our homework. She's the daughter of the city's most wealthy man, and her wealth is beyond your comprehension. Just because she chooses to be low-key doesn't give you the right to bully her. His words left them speechless. The officer continued, the amount you've caused in damages is enough to send you all in jail for a long time. Instead of questioning her background, you should be brainstorming how to make amends. After all, she's made it clear she won't settle for anything less than full accountability. For everyone present, $790 million was an astronomical figure. They knew they couldn't afford it, so they resorted to playing the victim. A few of the old classmates stood their ground, indignantly addressing me. We were all classmates once. You're already loaded, why go after us? Come on, it's just a misunderstanding. After all these years of being classmates, do you really need to drive us into a corner like this? It's just a car and a few collectibles, right? You're the daughter of a billionaire, so don't be so petty. You're telling me you can't get over a few bucks? Seriously, look at you. Your injuries aren't that bad. Just let it go already. They continued, each argument more audacious than the last, as if $790 million was just pocket change to them. Or maybe they thought since I had money and wasn't dead, I should just be their scapegoat and absorb this loss without a second thought. I couldn't help but snort in disbelief, my tone dripping with sarcasm. So now that you know we're classmates, it's all good, right? When you were beating me up, did you think about that? Weren't you almighty when you were smashing my stuff? And now you want me to just drop it? What's that about? What's the deal? You've got the guts to break things but not to pay for them. Throughout high school, I had always kept a low profile, my nose buried in my books. I never stirred up trouble. But Felicity, on the other hand, was constantly stirring up trouble for me, accusing me of being pretentious and aloof, unfit for any social circle. She would rally her flock and lead them in teasing me, making my high school days a living hell. Back then, I'd just kept my head down and avoided confrontation, hoping to ride out the storm. Ironically, my passive approach only seemed to fuel their audacity. Now they were mercilessly pushing me into a corner, ready to beat me into submission. If I didn't teach them a lesson now, they'd only feel emboldened to keep targeting those weaker than them. Seeing that I was unyielding, the old classmates finally panicked. No longer daring to confront me directly, they turned their collective ire on Felicity. It's all your fault, you shameless witch. You didn't get the facts straight and went off on a rant. Seriously, you're the mistress here, yet you're pointing fingers at her and dragging us into this mess. And claiming to be the wife of the CEO of All Grand Group. Have you no shame? You dragged us into this mess just because we wanted to be on your good side. Now you want us to pay for your mistakes. Not a chance. Exactly. You're the one who should foot the bill for that $790 million. Don't even think about dragging us into this. In the face of their accusations, Felicity's rage boiled over. She retorted without hesitation, you pathetic losers have the audacity to blame me. From high school, it was you who egged me on to bully others. If it weren't for your desperate attempts to climb the social ladder, I wouldn't have been pushed into this position at all. You treated me like royalty when you thought I was the president's wife, but now that the chips are down, you're all ready to throw me under the bus. Look at you all so shameless, it's like you were born to be lapdogs. Not one of you is getting out of here today. Felicity and her old classmates went back and forth, hurling insults at each other. If the police hadn't intervened just in time, they might have ended up in a full-blown brawl. After the shouting match, the classmates tried to defend themselves, claiming they hadn't broken anything, that it was all someone else's doing. But when the police pulled out the surveillance footage from the incident, their bravado crumbled. Each person was held accountable for their deeds. Some, desperate to avoid jail time, pleaded for money, selling off possessions and begging for loans, only to leave defeated. After settling their debts, others faced divorce papers from their spouses and found themselves cut off from friends and family. With no one willing to lend them a dime, they were left to face the consequences of their actions behind bars. As for Felicity, she had been the most enthusiastic participant in the chaos. Unsurprisingly, the debt she incurred was the highest. Now, confronted with this astronomical compensation demand, she found herself at a loss and turned to Logan for help. "Logan, for the sake of our years together, can't you help me out? There's no way I can come up with this much money, even if I sold myself." Felicity wailed, tears streaming down her face, her voice dripping with desperation. Logan, feeling a pang of sympathy, hesitated for a moment before glancing at me with pleading eyes. "Honey, we don't have to go to such extremes. Can't you cut her some slack? Just this once, for old time's sake." I shot him a cold look. "Cut her slack? Logan, have you no dignity left? Do you honestly think you have any leverage with me right now? Every time I think of how I've been duped by your false affection for all these years, it makes me sick. I've already drafted the divorce papers. From today onward, we're done." Without looking back, I walked away. Felicity and the classmates who couldn't pay their debts were all taken into custody, facing charges for their actions. Even Amanda found herself under investigation due to her involvement. As for Logan, he walked away with nothing but the clothes on his back per our agreement. I transitioned from a life of being someone's partner to a solitary existence. While it took some getting used to, I found a strange sense of freedom in it. Then, one day, while I was out for my morning jog, I spotted Logan lurking on a path I often ran. His unkempt beard and wild eyes sent a shiver down my spine. The moment he saw me, his expression twisted into something menacing as he lunged forward, pulling out a knife. "You bitch! I've finally caught up with you," Logan shouted, his voice filled with rage. I frowned slightly, keeping my cool. "Logan, what the hell do you think you're doing?" He glared at me, fury burning in his eyes. "What am I doing? You heartless bitch! You've turned me from a successful CEO into a homeless man scavenging like a stray dog. And you still have the nerve to ask what I'm doing. So what if I was with you for the money? What's the big deal? Every man's got his vices. Just because I found success doesn't mean I can't seek real love too. Why do you think you have the right to make my life miserable over this?" Seeing Logan spiraling into a rage like this made me sigh, and I spoke earnestly. "Logan, you're still young. Put down the knife. You still have a chance, you know." "Chance? What the hell are you talking about?" Logan shouted, advancing on me with fists clenched. He continued, "Because of you, I've lost everything. If I can't have peace, then neither will you. Go to hell." He brandished the knife and lunged at me. In that split second, a hidden bodyguard sprang into action, delivering a swift kick that sent Logan flying back. From the moment I figured out that Logan was a schemer, I had kept my guard up. I knew someone like him wouldn't just back down easily. That was why I had hired a bodyguard to quietly watch over me every day. I hadn't expected it would come in handy so soon. "Take him to the police station," I ordered coldly and turned on my heel, heading home. Later, I heard that Logan's violent temper had gotten the better of him in prison, leading to a brutal fight that left him with 2 broken legs, permanently disabled. As for me, I found my footing again, reclaiming control over my life. I learned not to rely on anyone else for my happiness. Being on my own felt liberating. No disappointments, no betrayals, just clarity and freedom. Without a man, a woman could still shine, thriving in independence and grace. Loving myself was the best romance I could embrace.